tragedy and values. And how does tragedy teach us the great value that we are to help others? I said at the very first chat in this entire series, I said that the goal was not only to get your head on straight, and now I did that with the first 6 sets of chats, the first 6 lessons or chapters, by going into psychotherapy and psychology and explaining exactly, I hope minutely, but of course there may be a lot more information that I could pass out because humans are complex. But I provided what I think are the basic information about emotions that can help people all over the world. And now I've concentrated on values, and I've asked the question, does tragedy lead us to what is the great value of humanity? And I'm convinced, my wife is convinced, and many others are convinced that tragedy brings out the best of us. Now, I want to make very clear in this final chat on tragedy that you don't have to be a doctor working with Doctors Without Borders, or you don't have to be a missionary working with Child Fund International in Guyana, where our girl is. And by the way, we have seen our girl that we have paid for monthly now for, what, 10 years? She has grown so much, and she's such a proud, young, tall woman with a good education now. She speaks French because, of course, Guyana was once a colony of France. You don't have to be a person volunteering for disabilities.com. They welcome you to contribute to them, as does Child Fund International, as does Doctor Without Borders. And there are hundreds of wonderful organizations that help. When we were living near Chicago, I became a little familiar with the rehab units in Chicago. And at each one of these, I think there are 4 major rehab places in Chicago. The people who work there, I don't know what language to say. I mean, should I call them saints? They were committed, and they were doing beautiful work in rehabbing people from tragic accidents, illnesses, wars. And I'm telling you, there was a beauty to those people that shone forth and that I could not match. But again, I'm not saying you need to work at a rehab unit or any of these options. I believe that the attitude is the most important thing about a human being. And I think the attitude of acceptance to all people, regardless of race, because we don't have time to think about that anymore. The rowboat we're in has got a hole in it, and a big hole because of those who live by the sword, and they also die by the sword, but the ones who are using the might and saying we've got to have an AK-47 with a 30-round clip because I've got rights in this country. They are dangerous. They have a possibility of taking over our political country. And it's a concern thing, and we have to bear witness. Attitude. That means that you accept everybody anywhere in the world, no matter what. And it means that you do bear witness. Playtime is over. We can no longer just come out of the reptilian brain and bomb, atom bomb, hydrogen bomb anyone, show that we're the toughest person at the gymnasium. That playtime is over. And so what I ask the watchers of these values, chaps who know about tragedy and perhaps have felt it in their own families, I'm suggesting you do little acts of kindness. Yes, little acts of kindness. My wife and I, since we know presuppositions, use them every time we're out in public. We tell people who they are. We build self-respect. And we are no respecter of persons, as the phrase has it. We don't care who it is. Is it a human being? Now, I'm not putting us up as a model because I am so aware of my own failures, my shout at my wife when we got back in the car after responding out of some part of our brains we didn't even understand to the guy who had turned his car over. And yesterday I said, now honey, would you go to somebody's aid if we saw another truck turned over or saw an accident? Without hesitation, she said yes. And without hesitation, I say yes. It's being a human being. It's living according to the best that we have. It's bearing witness with our actions. So, in millions of ways, those who choose to understand tragedy can help. And here I flit to our trainees around the country. But I could just as well see any person who responds out of the deep desire to protect and love life. So I'm not going to go into any more sermonic orations. I'm saying if you want a great value, you need to come out of the best that is in your brain and heart and mind and soul.